Ready with his filming expertise. We can get started. We're going to call to order the Tilton Planning Board meeting for Tuesday, July 14th. Sorry? Eric's on vacation. He's in Colorado. First case is Planning Board Case 15-14. It's a continuation of site plan review. Proposal to operate an educational, consulting, and professional development facility at 120 East Main Street in the mixed-use district.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
I'm Bill Lander. I was here a while ago. Cindy was here the last time meeting we had a promotion that I had to attend. My understanding is we were asked to come back with a scale drawing of the site, which we presented, as well as drainage, showing the drainage from the actually existing drainage in the town that it's on the property with the solution, whatever you call it, and then also showing where the water runoff might be coming through the parking lot area and a swale on the east side of the property. And then I think the other question was outdoor lighting. And we have secured a solar motion detector light put on the building to shine over the parking lot. You'll note in the plan that there's a water kind of garden area that will hopefully assist with the drainage itself. We feel that the existing property was approved as a business, it was drained, and we've taken some ideas and thoughts to improve that type of drainage from north. And you have the proposal from previous submittal, so are there questions or anything else that we can answer for you?
I just want to say one quick thing about the two drawings where we're talking about to scale. The first one that we blew up for you is, 490-degree angles. It's not a square, we realize that, but we just did that one so that you could have all the dimensions you had asked for last time of the parking spaces, the distance to the road, those kind of things. But then the one that is behind it, that's the drainage map, is the exact plot map.
Any idea on what kind of vegetation you're going to put in the swale area? Grass.
It's grass.
It's grass.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were asking about the rain.
No, it just says vegetated swale, and I see grass, that's all you're going to do.
If you look back at it, there's a little
And what about the rain garden?
that's a work in progress.
Yeah, I went over and met with them at the site and indicated that I would give them some information. UNH Cooperative Extension and Department of Environmental Services have lists of plants that are suitable. So they agreed to do that.
We also think the drainage will generally be better because there used to be the shed garage, the impermeable surface there, which isn't anymore. So, that's an improvement overall for previously.
And aesthetically, right.
Yes, sure.
As far as aesthetics go now that we're there, more permanently grass. Actually, we had a neighbor come over and do it without even asking.
It was great.
For making
Really?
contacts in the neighborhood.
It was so nice of her, and she did the other neighbor too. She just told her I'm going on for the day.
Comes around with snow.
Well, that brings me to the question, where are you going to put the snow?
Well, behind, as you had indicated at one point, behind the building itself, we indicated that in our original proposal, and also off to, by the fence side, there is area for snow storage. There should be some into this area, and that won't be there in the wintertime, and then also back in this area.
comments, questions from the planning board?
This swale outside the fence is like a ditch between the property and the road, this little 7-foot
I wouldn't
swale?
term it a ditch, it's a deviation between one side and the other where water certainly will run
So the water can hit that and won't hit the road?
there.
Yes.
Hopefully so.
Maybe I'm not reading this right. Where is the entrance and exit? Which way does the traffic flow?
The next one.
East Main Street here,
Okay,
so,
So it's one-way traffic.
yeah,
it's,
here we come in this way,
yep,
and then we would
oh,
be
it's
next.
going out, okay, yeah. 'Cause
Although-
we
This
had
is
a
more than
problem. Yeah, well, we had a problem with that before, right? We were talking
Yeah,
about
because
the
we
exit.
didn't see the drainage.
Okay.
No, this is just.
Thank you.
Any more questions, comments?
Yes, if you're gonna use this for snow, how are you gonna use this for parking?
Well,
You're showing this snow, this parking.
Yeah, the snow will be back over here, and then we'll be able to push the snow in this direction as well, off the parking.
Not into where you're going to have a
Drainage.
rain garden drainage.
Well, that, in the winter
In the
time, that
winter.
would be draining.
You don't put snow into your drainage.
Well, then we can move it all behind the building itself.
It's all,
If that's the wish of the planning board, we can move everything behind the building as it is over in this area. Push it all back.
Over here?
Yes. And I believe when we were here before, Tilton said that that's what she had done, because there was a building in that.
we
one
also though
site.
didn't have a fence, your fence is right here. Your
Correct.
fence is not over here, your fence is in here.
Correct.
And there was no fence there, so we
Yeah.
could push it all the way
This
to.
is actually, that is actually the fence line because it's, there's more on the other side.
If this is 10 feet,
Mhm.
then that is not 10 feet from, your fence is not 10 feet off your parking.
No. I'm sorry. Is there, I don't think we put 10 feet in there.
But you're saying this is 10 feet.
Yes.
This is 10 feet, and this is the same,
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
then
And then the fence would be inside and there's more on the other side. Bill, how much was on the other side of the fence? I remember.
But you can't push the snow
They
over
would-
there.
No,
Fence.
we would move the snow back behind the building.
Could you put it on the outside of the building by your sign as well?
Certainly, some could come in.
I don't remember what's.
Yeah, there's plenty of ground.
So you're
in-
putting on both sides of the
Yeah,
building?
yeah. So, there's no reason why it can't be pushed this way and back this way, okay? There's plenty of distance between here. I mean, I think our first choice is to keep it as clean as possible, but, you know, I don't have
You
a
would
plow, I
have
have a
room,
snowblower,
you never
I would
know.
just
You
blow
would
it,
have
you know.
room out here, as long as you didn't cover this catch
Correct,
basin,
yeah,
to put a little bit.
yeah.
No, catch basin's right on the side, that's not
Oh, is
just
it?
it. Catch basin's right there,
Okay.
and a
As
telephone.
long as you don't put your snow on top of it,
There's two
Okay.
there.
or in
actually.
your proposed rain garden.
Right.
And if you weren't using this,
That-
you didn't need it, you could put it in there.
Thank you. But we would try to keep it primarily here. I mean, crazy, a winter like last winter, who knows what would happen? If we have a
We're all
Florida
looking
type
for
winter,
places.
then we're in good shape, but we can move it.
And you're using a snowboard, you said, not
You know, she is. We will contract somehow to get it.
No opportunity.
I have to do it at home too, so, you know.
Hey, it's a man's job.
Any other questions from planning board? Do we have any from the audience who would like to make comments or have questions?
Is it appropriate for me to ask what kind of educational consultant?
Absolutely.
We're doing professional development, it's kind of a variety, but some will be very small teacher workshops and some will be consulting with school districts for strategic plans, school improvement, working towards competencies, which the whole state is working towards now.
And a primary part of our business, as we just got 2 contracts within the last week, will be in school districts themselves. So we will have small events at the building, but most of it will be out in the districts.
That's good, thank you.
This is much better than last time.
Yes, it
Well,
is.
and we may have seemed very picky, but we need to be, because we've had some.
We understand.
All right, if
You
there are
may
no other.
want to consider, instead of a motion floodlight, a hardwired, because this is the neighbor's bedroom, and if an animal or something walks through it,
Oh,
then all of
okay.
a sudden,
All right.
just a
Thank
thought,
you.
and then when you're done at night, you just shut it off and.
Sure.
And you know the lighting has to be downward cast.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you don't have a sign up there, but the posts are up there.
And once we hopefully get through tonight, we'll be generating the application for the sign.
All right, I'll close it to the public then, and if there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to accept.
So you have 6 parking spots?
7.
On that road.
And the one that's fine is the handicap.
Yeah.
Make a motion to accept the application.
For a second,
Second.
all in favor?
I assume you, sorry, approve, like accept, approve, just, yeah.
Opposed?
To accept the application.
We accept the plan. We accepted the application.
Oh, we
Yes,
just
we
want
do.
to say that.
It was signed, yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Is that a vote? We didn't vote.
Oh, I did, I said all in favor, and
Oh, I didn't hear it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody
I've heard you
Yes.
murmur.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, great evening.
You
All
too.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, all
Sorry,
right.
application form.
All right,
Thank you so
all
much
right.
for the additional information.
I was just thinking we can give you a card.
Seconded that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Catherine did vote first.
I think I made a choice, but I
Catherine
think I
voted
Okay.
twice.
All right. Vote early and vote often.
She grunted.
All right, the next is a continuation of the same site plan review to expand the Tilton School's athletic facility to include 16 tennis courts at 21 Pillsbury Lane in the Village Residential District. And I understand, Peter, that you met with the selectmen or?
Yes. Would you like me to summarize
Yes, please.
what's transpired? Okay, fantastic. So, thank you. I'm sorry I wasn't here for the previous meeting. I don't remember where I was. I wasn't here.
You were at a convention or something.
Was I?
You weren't attending.
Okay, I wasn't here. It wasn't at Onions. So my understanding is during that meeting, there was a concern about the athletic field lighting. And it wasn't known to the committee that I had actually been working with the neighbor and the selectmen all the way since last October to try to find a resolution. And the selectmen invited me to come in last Thursday. We spoke, 2 Thursdays ago, just before July 4th. We spoke and we looked at 2 primary methods for mitigating the lights. The primary method, which we are going to try to do tomorrow night, is actually downcasting the lights slightly to provide some relief, we hope, to the single neighbor in question in that scenario. We've also looked at planting some trees on our property that would help absorb some of the lights. I also know that at the last planning board meeting, our measurements had not been submitted yet, and those measurements did arrive. And they show that we're in compliance on all the points except for one point, which we have looked at. And it's our goal tomorrow night to run a lighting test by downcasting the lights slightly and taking measurements to show that we'll be in compliance on all the points. And as I said, I met with the selectmen on Thursday. There's been dialogue back and forth. My impression is that the strategy seems to be a sound one in regard to what the selectmen are thinking. Most of the selectmen plan to be at the lighting test tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. We're going to adjust the lights at about 7 o'clock and then wait for it to go dark and then turn them on. I was actually going to go turn them on tonight at 7 o'clock to get a pre-adjustment photo and then take another one tomorrow in that scenario. So we've been working really closely for a long time with the neighbor and trying to mitigate the solution. So I don't know, Catherine, if you want to add anything to that.
No, I think you said it very well. I can't speak for the board, but I can say, me personally, I think that we're on our way to a resolution.
Yes, one thing, what about the trees? Eric had talked about the trees that you had planted to help block the light.
Mhm.
The trees that you planted didn't really block light.
Mhm.
You needed different trees. Is that going to be resolved? I heard you say something about trees.
So which trees are you referring to? Are you referring to the deciduous trees that are in the center of the property? Or are you referring to the ones that are up on the border of the
I'm
property?
trying to think of which ones he was talking about, because I know he was really concerned about them.
So
Just not blocking the
my
light like
under-
you're supposed to.
yeah, so my understanding, and I haven't reviewed the minutes from the last meeting closely for this, but my understanding was there was some concern about the maples, the red maples that we had planted in the center of the property, and those were never meant to block any light, or those weren't any light mitigation pieces.
I think we were also speaking with Mr. Jones too, and his property, and his spillage in his property.
Yeah.
Now, I just have one question. You're going to lower the lighting, the lights tomorrow. You're going to change the direction slightly,
Mhm.
and hopefully that will take care of things. If that takes care of things, are you still gonna plant the trees?
The trees are quite an expense.
I know they are, that's why I'm asking you.
Yeah.
I wanted that.
If, there's two things. I think, as I've stated for a year and a half now, there's things that you can do and things that you should do. If the lighting measurements change and we're in compliance, we're in compliance.
Okay.
But if there's still some issues that pop up, then I've already said I'm willing to plant those trees.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that and make sure that those got in the minute meetings in
Yes.
case there's a question in the future.
Absolutely.
Because if it works with just lowering the lighting, changing the direction of the slant, then you don't have to plant the trees and we'll be all set. I just don't want people to say, well, you never planted trees.
Right.
That's why I wanted to make that very clear.
Okay.
Okay, so if the lighting change works, we're all set.
We can make a condition.
Yeah.
And it's not contingent on the neighbor's opinion? Or is it independent of that, it's purely on the lighting readings?
Well, we already have lighting readings, so it's certainly, and we didn't accept it last time. So it's an attempt to rectify the situation with the neighbors who right now are affected. That was our whole reason for wanting the light readings.
Right, I
Okay, and I
understand.
believe that's Peter's intention when he meets tomorrow night, to make sure that that's not happening.
I think your question's great though, because this is something that we talked with the selectmen.
So,
And I think I think the big compliance here is the technical compliance with lighting. I mean, that's sort of the overarching piece. But there is a quality piece associated with the neighbor's opinion. And so that's something that I'm trying to balance as a good neighbor, to try to make those pieces happen. I have, the relationships with the neighbors along that road has been excellent. I've only received positive feedback. I've spoken to everyone about that. So it's been something that I think has been taken care of through communication ahead of time. I will say that if this neighbor is still angry and upset, I'll definitely consider planting those trees. And I've committed to the selectmen to, if this doesn't mitigate it, then that expense of those 18-foot pine trees is significant. And I think the piece that concerns me, which is why I like your question, is if I downcast the lights and the readings are what they said they would be, and then the trees go up and the neighbor's still unhappy, I'm not sure what the different pieces are, but I feel like I've made a good faith effort.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You
That's
did
what-
what you were
that's what
supposed to do, what you said you were gonna do, yeah.
The Board of Selectmen feel it's both parts, it's technical, but if you read the minutes from zoning and planning board meetings, there were promises made beyond the technical. So we are concerned with the neighbor. Even if the readings are within the technical bounds, we're still concerned.
And I think we made that clear at our last planning board meeting.
Yeah.
That we didn't really care not that we didn't care, but that the readings were not the real issue. The issue were the neighbors and their concerns.
Yeah, I mean, again, It's about the relationships that we have. And I want the planning board to know that I've been acting in good faith throughout this entire process.
Yeah, I feel like I'm hearing some incongruity here. So in one, within tonight's meeting, I feel like at one point I heard that if the adjustments that are made tomorrow night bring the site into compliance with the lighting readings, then the trees will not be planted? Is that?
No.
Okay,
No,
okay.
that's not
No,
necessarily so.
that's,
Okay,
Thank you for clarifying. If, hopefully, the alteration of the lights will take care of that one erroneous reading.
yeah,
And so that would be great. That would make us technically in compliance. And it would be my hope that the neighbor would feel that difference
okay.
and say, you know what, there has been an adjustment, that feels great.
and there's no spillage.
My,
There is none.
my backup plan is if there's still an issue, then I would incur that expense for the trees. And the concern that I want to express for the minutes is, I feel like both of those are, we're making a big effort to try to mitigate those pieces. And so after that, I'm not sure what the issue is. I do think that we have restricted the lights way more in partnership with the town than their use, and we've, again, been acting in good faith.
All right, at this point, I'd like to turn it over to the planning board to see what your feelings are.
About proceeding.
Can I make well, I think I should say some other things, if that's okay.
Okay.
The drawings have been modified,
Okay.
and I just want to call the planning board's attention to that. And Nathan, I don't know if you want to show the
Sure.
modification.
Basically, through review of the school's both athletic and recreation program and funding, if you will, they wanted to investigate the possibility of a half-court basketball court in this area here that you can see on your revised plans, this sort of jog out. So the extension of pavement would be increased. However, it's still well below what was originally approved through New Hampshire DES and will not impact the size of the detention pond. This area would also be enclosed with a 10-foot high black vinyl coated fence. We don't have those revised plans. So, again, the limit of the pavement would increase, the drainage patterns would not, the grading concept would not. Your high point is still on the south end of the property and would slope down in a northerly direction. Water would be collected at the midpoint here between this kind of upper port, if you will, and a lower port, and all of your water would still be directed to that existing sediment control tank prior to outletting to the detention pond. And again, originally through New Hampshire DES, we had approved, I think going way back when we showed kind of an overall plan, we had anticipated 8 full tennis courts. But due to the restriction of this property, we were able to knock that down. So we're still well within the impervious area limits, if you will, of what was approved for and sized based on that detention basin.
And I'd like to point out that we're just bringing this to the planning board because that might be a possibility.
Right.
We're not definite on that yet, but I didn't want to have to come back to you in 2 months.
What might be a possibility?
This is-
The court,
Right.
basketball.
So I figured I'd ask for it now.
Right, ask if we can
Swing.
swing it, we will build it. We also included just kind of an overall plan of the site, so you guys could get a visual on what the property will look like with the kind of full build up when both phases are complete.
Well, I think we need to have a condition on it. But first of all, I'd like to see if there's anyone in the audience who has any comments.
Yeah, I do, absolutely. We've talked about these arborvitaes being placed on the east side of the parking lot so that I didn't have to look out my window at a parking lot. This was discussed during the first planning board meeting prior to the field even being built. And it was agreed upon during that meeting. And since then, I've been looking at nothing but a parking lot. So I guess I do have something that, I want to put in here. I'd like to know if and when these trees are going to appear. I just went out and bought 6 myself to put out there, so that I don't have to look at what I'm seeing now, because they're not doing it, obviously. So my question is it going to be done?
Can I respond to that? I'll respond the same way that I did at the previous 2 planning board meetings about this issue. We knew we were building these courts. I told Mr. Jones we were building these courts. I told Mr. Jones as soon as we were done doing that I would put in landscaping to help mitigate that on our property. So I'll say it a 3rd time to make good on that in the same way that I've been in good faith before.
Okay. My point would be, the first planning board meeting we had, there was no phase 2 to be done at that point in time anyway. So the point was, it was gonna be done when phase 1 was done. It was part of phase 1, which we haven't seen. And if I had seen it, I wouldn't have had to go buy trees of my own. So I guess that's my point. You can say it as many times as you want, but it was a one phase and it was one meeting. And it was brought up then and it was gonna be taken care of. And my point is, why do I have to wait? Why do I have to sit here and look at this parking lot that, is kind of unsightly, and it's not really what I want to see, and it's been agreed upon that would be taken care of?
If I could just make reference to the overall site plan that we provided, that actually shows the limits of the landscaping that was submitted and approved with the original phase 1 drawings.
There is language in the zoning board and the planning board minutes that a protected barrier will be planted between this property and this athletic field. And deciduous trees, I don't think are protected barrier.
No.
We didn't plant deciduous trees as a barrier. We were waiting for doesn't make sense to plant trees and then plow them over, which was the point that I had made in the previous planning board meetings.
I think the notes say it was the first planning board meeting, right, was it not? I believe, I don't
Yeah,
have a
those are my
copy, but-
selectmen file, but the zoning board had language in one of the planning board
Yes,
meetings.
the planning board meeting.
What is the plans for trees on here? I don't see anything in here that tells me what they are. I see a diagram that does show a deciduous tree being planted, but that could be just a general picture for planting purposes. But what is
What?
well, I'm looking at plantings, are these existing? No, I don't think they are.
Yes.
Those are.
Those were
existing.
planted as part of phase 1.
What are those, deciduous or conifer?
Deciduous.
So they're just aesthetic plantings. These-
Except for the 3 up there. which
Yeah,
were
those are
evergreen.
evergreens.
Those are arborvitae.
No.
Is that what
They're
you
just
said?
evergreen trees.
They're evergreen.
They're evergreen. And there's no plan on here that shows any plantings between this facility and the stone property.
There are not on this issue.
So what is the intention when this is done, to plant there?
The intention is once this is constructed, and these courts will all be screened also, so the amount of light penetration will be a lot less than it is right now. My intention was always to act in the way that I have previously. That's to take a look at it, and then if we need to plant things there, that we would do that. And that's certainly the discussion I've had with Howard, saying, let's wait until that's done and then we can talk about what to plan there. We talked about planting the arborvitaes. We even talked about sharing the cost of those arborvitaes, or even me bearing the cost if I planted on my property, in the same way that I'm acting up here. Those have all been parts of the discussion and the email back and forth between us.
What will the lighting be for the tennis courts?
There is no lighting for the
No
tennis
lighting.
courts.
What are the hours of the tennis courts?
When the sun is up, the same lights, the same, you can't play tennis in the dark. So it would be the same.
It'd probably mostly be used in the afternoons.
I've played tennis in the dark.
You have?
I play tennis in the dark too.
Well, in the
And
dark,
that's why I'm
tennis
such a bad
balls.
player.
It's like golf.
I played in the dark too, I said, maybe that's why I'm such a bad tennis player.
There are no lights proposed, so in
So my question
the
is-
spring and summer, you know, obviously, they'd be able to play a little bit later.
They'll be fenced and gated. Will they actually be locked in the evening, or will they be?
So there's, we're,
And I'm thinking of noise.
yeah, so those gates will be key carded.
Okay.
So access will be limited to those with key cards.
We still do, I mean, that will, as with the turf field, we'll open those courts to the public in the same way we open up to all of our facilities. And that we'd limit those pieces for Mr. Jones.
And just as Peter had noted, the 10-foot high black vinyl coated chain link fence will also have it's really for playability, but a windscreen on it that will also act as a barrier, a visual barrier to those courts.
Those aren't typically solid, right?
It's
I
a
remember
mesh, it's like a mesh
yeah.
material.
Are you satisfied? No?
No, I'm not satisfied at all. Like I said, at the first planning board meeting, we were gonna have trees put up as of phase one. There was no phase two then. Again, there was no phase two. It was gonna be done then, and I've been looking at a parking lot for a year and a half. You know, and I've done it myself just so I don't have to look at it. I'm not satisfied, not at all.
So you've already planted something, so you're not
I've
having
planted
to
some, but I'm gonna have, I got a good 5 years.
Do you want to be reimbursed? I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. If you've already planted something.
I planted.
I understand your concern and your dissatisfaction with the fact that it was promised and it wasn't done. But you're not looking at the parking lot now because you planted spring?
I'm still looking at the parking
All
lot.
right.
But my issue is there's a big green box that sits out there, electrical box. Peter and I have spoken about that as well.
Absolutely.
I put these arborvitaes in so I don't have to look at that for the time being. It'll be another 5 years before they get big enough so that I won't have to see it. However, I put those in, you know, so I don't have to look at that. And it's where my property is situated, where everything is on my property. I can't plant trees any further over to block out the parking lot, which wasn't my issue to begin with. I shouldn't have had to plant trees there. This was already supposed to be taken care of. So my point was, how long was I supposed to wait, or how long am I supposed to wait before I, you know, get something done here, you know? I mean, if it was in the minutes, and we were all in agreement of it, how come it isn't done? That's my point.
I wonder if, just theoretically, if approval were to come forward tonight, when do, Chairman Olin, I wonder if I could ask the applicants, when this would be done to the point where the planting of arborvitaes that was agreed to could move forward?
In terms of construction, our plan would be done early fall.
So,
Tennis court surfacing is what.
so reasonably, this problem could be addressed through planting taking place in early fall.
Early fall.
Mhm.
Okay. Which,
I guess.
and I wonder, between now and then, how much, maybe there's, you know, it's kind of lucky here that school's out of session between now and then, and there may not be that much disturbance, and that possibly, just, you know, again, maybe setting a condition of approval that that planning will take place, and because it's clearly a, you know, not a cut and dry issue, not a purely administrative issue, maybe a compliance hearing, and a future planning board meeting following the planting could determine whether Mr. Jones's concerns have been properly addressed. Just a thought.
I would also like you to pull the minutes from the first initial meeting to see exactly what was said by the planning board and the zoning board.
Right now, or how do you?
Well, we're gonna have that as a condition, but we need to see that.
Okay.
Okay, but we have to resolve this before we go on, because obviously Mr. Jones is not happy right now with the situation.
But I mean, would you maybe want to ask, you know, if doing something in the fall, I know he's already feels like he's waited longer than he
I
should.
know you waited long enough, and that was why I brought it up. But if it's going to be completed in that fall, that is too long for you to wait, and that's what I'm hearing from you. I guess my concern is that we're at a stalemate because we have constructions that are going to be going on, and I would assume those plannings probably would be somewhat disturbed during the construction. So I'm not sure the earliest time that you could do the planning. Do you know when that type of a construction would be done?
However, construction wouldn't take place in the 20-foot setback, is that correct?
That is, there might be some minimal grading, in this corner here.
The plantings could take place in the 20-foot setback.
True.
We probably won't do it in the setback though, because the elevation, you want those plantings higher to obscure the view of the electricity box. So I don't think they would be happening in.
I don't think the trunks of trees are gonna obscure the electricity box, are they?
No,
Don't you have
but-
to plant
No, but
some
what
like a
Peter's
shrub?
referring to is from the back property.
I'm looking at trans.
There's about a 6 to 8 foot grade change from where that transformer and utility communication box is.
That's the one here in the front.
Correct. That's where the water.
Is there a discussion on how tall a tree? On that first planning board conversation happened, was there a discussion, a 3-foot bush,
Not
a
to my
4-foot
knowledge.
bush, a 5-foot?
You were here too, so I don't remember. Do you remember?
No, I think we
I
need
remember
to
it
take
was
a recess
plantings,
and
but I
find,
don't know.
I think we need to find that.
Why don't you go get that?
Okay.
Yeah. We're gonna take a short recess and find the original minutes.
They're online, right?
Yes.
So,
They're right in the file.
You'll just pull the
You should be able
file.
to collect them and grab the
Just
file.
kind of just grab the file.
you should be able to.
We don't have a drainage plan, right?
Here's the drainage plan. It's the grading and drainage plan.
I saw a site plan.
Layer of
I
materials,
saw
Site
site grading
grading.
plan.
and then there's a site.
So all am I looking at for drainage is that riprap that's really close to School Street?
No. You should have a copy of the site utility plan.
And I still only see the riprap.
I wanna see what he said.
We have a French drain proposed on the south side of this.
Where?
On the south and west side of the upper court area. That's gonna collect a runoff that comes off of this hill before it hits the court.
There's a blueprint, but I don't see those.
One in the big size?
See,
I've got the big ones from last time.
There's a French drain here that will be stone with a 4-inch perforated pipe that'll collect runoff from this slope there. And then runoff
Oh, I
from,
see it, there's the language. Sport drain. That's what it says, okay.
and then the impervious area of this upper court will be collected by, it's a product made by ACO, ACO. It's a polymer concrete trench drain that gets encased in concrete, has an open grate, black, you might see it on the inside of a
I
track.
built one.
So we'll have one length of run in between the south and north courts, and then we'll have another run at the northern end of the north section of the courts. Again, both of those will tie into the collection system here, the upper courts tying into the existing drain system, and we'll have an outlet at the back end of the wall for the northern courts.
But you don't have anything along where that proposed basketball court would go, right?
Correct. It's just gonna maintain that
Slope.
existing flow pattern.
Sure. I'm going to read the relevant excerpt when it's, sorry, focus now the appropriate time.
Yes.
Okay. So this is from, these are the minutes of the June 25th, 2013 planning board meeting. So I'm just gonna read an excerpt. Ms. Dawson, I'll start here. Nellie Grant asked if the property on the School Street side will remain untouched, or will there be some planting being done? Mr. Saliba stated that that area should remain untouched, but they could look into some planting. Ms. Dawson asked if there will be a buffer at the edge of the parking area to protect the abutters. Ms. Dawson asked if there would be a maintenance schedule for the riprap area. Mr. Saliba said they could plant some trees along the parking area to cut down on any disturbance to the abutters' property. Mr. Saliba added that they will develop a maintenance schedule for the riprap area.
That was pre-tennis court.
Yeah, that's what we asked,
Just phase one.
phase one. Is that all you see is,
Yeah. This was the first meeting, the meeting at which it was approved. It didn't seem like there was much discussion.
I recall Howard expressing a concern, probably at a different meeting, I don't know.
There was another meeting,
It was the zoning board, wasn't it?
there was another revision to that where we submitted, because the original submission did not have the actual lights, we were just putting in the foundations. And it was probably in the summer of 2014 that we applied for the lights.
But, no, I thought, no.
could be zoning board too, Dory.
But,
Do you
Okay.
have a maintenance schedule or plan for your stormwater detention area? I'm asking that because we have some all over town that were never maintained. The-
Yes.
and
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
they're
there's-
clean,
there's
and
an op-
now they're being declared as wetlands.
I know
They're
we,
so chock full of cattails and whatnot, they can't do their job.
we have a maintenance schedule.
There's an operation maintenance plan that had to be submitted to New Hampshire DES.
And do we have a copy of that here?
I believe that application and the stormwater report was filed with Barry in the original application, filed with the town.
It's gonna be a mark.
so.
While we're waiting, did you want to ask Dory a question?
Yeah, just for clarification, Mr. Jones, I know you're unhappy with the timeline for the trees, but if Peter were to give you more of a date, a definite date in the fall, when he could plant the trees, would that
Yes.
clear up the?
You know what, I'm just tired of looking at, we had agreed in the beginning that I wouldn't have to look in the parking lot. And you know, and that's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for a lot here, I'm just tired of looking at that parking lot, it sits right in my backyard. You know, it's not great for viewing, it doesn't block any noise, you know what I mean, and it's just, that's all I ask for. I'm not asking for anything major here, I don't think.
Okay, so,
Yes.
a firm date.
If you
In
give
the
me a
fall.
firm date that I'm not
Is
gonna have
that-
to see it, that would be great.
Yeah, I mean,
You do?
can I ask Mr. Jones a question?
You certainly can.
Can you plant trees in the fall?
Yes.
That's the best time.
Did you not plant those maples in the
Well,
fall?
you should do it.
Howard, you would be amazed by what I don't know. So, assuming that
Put that in the
the,
record.
yeah. So,
His quote,
so I would be, at the completion of the construction project, at the point when I'm not gonna disturb any more soil, I'm committing to walking the property with Mr. Jones and deciding what would be sufficient to block the, not only the transformer, but any other light spillage which is not absorbed by the screening in the courts and screening his view of the parking lot. I mean, Mr. Jones' primary concern seems to be the view of the parking lot. I can mitigate that.
So we don't have a date, we have a time.
Do you want me
We
to?
should say before, because there's definitely a time in the fall, we don't want to plant a tree.
So, are we talking before November 1st?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think we're talking
absolutely.
mid-October.
Yeah.
October 15th is typically the cut
Yeah.
date for
I
planting
wouldn't
and
plan after
vegetation.
that.
So by October 15th,
Tree should-
the tree should be in the ground.
Is that acceptable to you?
It is.
Now, is it going to be trees? Or is it going to be something that will block the view? Because a tree, once it grows, is not gonna block any view.
No, depending on the tree.
If I may add, I feel on behalf of my client, it's important to establish some type of plan or limit of, you know, exactly what we're trying to achieve.
No, I know, but you, I'm just-
80 arborvitae is a lot different than blocking a parking lot with,
Definitely should be a deciduous tree. And I don't think a pine tree would help.
no, I don't either, that's why.
Spruce tree, might.
Well, a lot of places allow, like a stockade fence to go up until the trees are mature. I know some places do that, they put up a stockade, and once the trees are mature, they pull it down.
That's a creative idea. My first reaction is I don't like the idea of planting a fence there because that takes away from the aesthetics piece. Nathan, when you were talking about the type of plantings, when you've got experience in this, what would you?
I mean, I certainly, an evergreen type tree will give you that, that's what they're designed for. Visual barrier, but with landscaping.
So an evergreen, a coniferous type tree.
I wouldn't want to see a white pine or a Norway pine. There's nothing on the bottom once they grow up. I know I have several.
I know, I have.
Something with a low profile.
Yeah, with a low profile. I mean, I think,
Yeah.
I think the intent is to obscure A, the view of the parking lot,
Exactly.
and B, the transformer box.
And something attractive, not, you know.
Well, you also have to be concerned with sound as well.
Something that's full is.
So I mean, I think the intent is to do that, and should the trees not provide that cover, then we would make restitution in terms of planting new trees to fix those issues. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the view of the box, and Mr. Jones has stated it's the view of the parking lot. And I can mitigate those through planting coniferous trees in that area by October 15th. I would add contingent upon the construction being done. I have every reason to believe the construction would be done way before that. But once it's all done, I can walk the property, Mr. Jones, and we can decide on it together.
Got it.
What if it's not done, you're still gonna have to look at the parking lot all winter and into the spring, right? So, until you can plant trees.
Well, I'll have that as a condition, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Well,
5, 10, 15.
I can put up a, 100-foot black plastic sheet on Mr. Jones' border. I mean, I
I
just.
don't see any amusement.
I mean, I don't know what to do if the construction's not done at that point. And if it happens to snow on October 15th.
Well, you want them open so they can go through the winter, not half done and half, so you're gonna not drag your feet up, I'm sure.
No, my intent has never been to drag my feet.
say?
It's
No,
on
the only issue that has the potential to lapse would be the servicing of the tennis courts, because that's a weather dependent
But
product.
that wouldn't keep you from planting.
Not at all, no.
Okay.
All right, so I will entertain a motion to accept it with the
I'm not done.
condition. You're not
Sorry,
done?
no.
All right, go on.
If you don't put in the half court,
Mhm.
it looks like from the plan that the terrain would accept runoff from the tennis court that doesn't have drain. That section of the tennis court that doesn't have drain, yeah, that side, that east side. But if you put in that half court, when I'm looking at the site grading plan, are you creating these steep slopes here? It looks like about 10 feet. What am I looking at?
Those are slopes, yes.
Yeah. So I think if you put that in, you're gonna have a steeper grade of runoff there, aren't you?
Those are, this is probably
I'm looking at these.
6 foot drop, 2 foot drop in 10 feet, and that's a 2 foot drop in 6 feet.
I'm looking at these. Looks a greater drop in less feet.
Correct, the slope.
If you put in the basketball court.
It'll be, but we'll put
Some kind of berm or?
slope stabilization on it. Again, the tennis courts slope in this direction, it doesn't slope off, so that's just
But
natural.
that's a gradual slope, it's a tennis court, so it's not gonna have a whole lot of pitch.
1%.
Yeah, that's not a whole lot of pitch. We get a 100-year storm event or a 50-year storm event. And you're talking about a lot of runoff off that surface.
1% is design used in parking lots and roadways in some instances.
I know I did concrete work for 40 years, so I know what the same grade is. Again, in one of those storm events, and we've had those in multiple succession.
Understood?
So I'm
And
just,
that water is directed to this open trench drain and collection system, not off-site.
that's what this basketball court would do.
In the previous application, the drain stopped here, which would handle the runoff from these tennis courts. So in both applications, the impervious area is being collected. It's not being sheet flowed.
Including the basketball court?
Yes.
Okay.
I know it's hard to see on the half size, but
It is hard to see in
That-
this
that
small,
trench
there's
drain.
not a lot of detail.
the trench drain runs all the way across the court.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm happy then. Well, moderately so.
As happy as Catherine did.
Well, no.
All right,
we're
all
happy.
right.
Oh, Dari, do we have a copy of their stormwater maintenance plan?
The original stormwater report.
Yeah,
You've
so,
got-
So there should be a
Original
maintenance
file.
plan in there for the
was that,
detention
so
pond?
it- from your initial site plan review application, yes, it should be in here. It's not my fault.
This will, it is your fault. Should have updated.
You want to see it?
Those are the hydrant beds. It should be a boundary.
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be in
No, I
here.
couldn't see it.
Yeah,
It's usually a pretty good document.
Yeah, it was a boundary report
okay.
submitted to DES. I can certainly, I can forward a
Make
copy.
sure we get a copy.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? You happy?
Dari, make a motion.
Well, just maybe before you make a motion, so I don't interrupt you then, just, I want to once again bring up, basically, there are conditions that, the fulfilling of those conditions would require something above and beyond an administrative act, then potentially there should be a compliance hearing to make sure that condition was properly executed. So, just to think about as you're phrasing your
All right.
motion.
By November 1st. And then when's the November meeting?
I think it's the fourth meeting, the second meeting in
Well, here, November,
the fourth Tuesday in October.
Fourth Tuesday in October.
That's just me.
oh, what's that, oh, the fourth Tuesday in October, you'll say, October 27th?
Okay, by October 27th, okay.
Is that before this group?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, I'll entertain a motion for,
Sort of crafted.
well, I think we stated it,
I'm not sure how we're gonna talk about the lights.
yeah,
It's a two-part.
we'll just have to have the two-part condition. Accept it with number one condition.
Am I allowed to say something?
Yeah.
Yeah, no?
If you must.
Could there be, I see sort of two issues here. I see a spillover issue from the lights piece, and I see the tennis court phase two piece. So is it possible for the committee to entertain two separate motions?
That's what
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
doing.
I
Two
wasn't-
separate motions.
Two separate motions, do we have to do, why
No,
can't we
it's
do two
one
separate,
motion and
two
one
separate
property.
conditions?
Two conditions.
Yeah.
Conditions.
Okay.
I think we have more than two conditions.
Well, those two that we're working. Lighting issue to be resolved to, come on, all of
We're
the,
doing good.
to the satisfaction of all, that one's not in the butter though, is it?
No.
All,
Yeah, she is across the street.
Does her property go to that corner?
I don't think the property goes to
No. What is the one? School?
lighting issue to be resolved to the satisfaction of the Tilton Board of Selectmen, because you're the ones who are dealing with the particular individual. And Tilton School. Do we want to put anything else on the lighting part?
Chairman Alden, maybe just, I would take off the Tilton School part. Right? Or am I wrong?
Well,
Am I missing something?
I don't know, because they're the ones who are,
Well, it's, I mean, without sounding heartless, I guess, if the Board of Selectmen aren't satisfied, the Tilton School is.
Yeah, right.
Is that what
It's not exactly a stalemate, because the Board of Selectmen is the enforcement authority.
all right, so we'll just say the satisfaction of the Tilton Board of Selectmen.
Yeah.
All right. And then two. Planting. You like to make correction now?
Yeah.
Planting of, well, I'm trying to figure out how to word this, of appropriate screening. Is medium vegetation,
I think it'd be specific, like coniferous trees.
i.e., pardon?
They might decide
That's, coniferous is pretty broad.
All right, conifer, okay, screening, well, that's why I put in screening, because it's got a screen, i.e. coniferous.
Yeah, but that leaves deciduous trees in, they definitely need to be out.
I just put in i.e. and put in coniferous, okay? By October 15,
2015.
2015, okay?
Thank you.
Is that enough by number two? Oh, we'll do that from now on, we've messed up on that, not this planning board, but other planning boards, so we'll take it.
Do you want to add the primary concern of blocking the view of the parking lot?
Yeah, to the.
Because that's the
So the-
concern.
For the purpose of.
Okay.
For the purpose of.
For the purpose of, review, a butter.
Maybe should you specify what's the address
What's your,
there?
what?
1 Pillsbury Lane,
Hmm?
1 Pillsbury Lane.
They should actually do it by map and lot in case in the future 911 people mess around.
You-
U7, lot 40.
I'm sorry, what?
Map U7, lot 40.
Thank you.
All right. And then number 3,
Compliance. The compliance.
yeah, but do we have anything else before that? So it's gonna,
Do they need to have the school?
Back up a minute, we have plans for toilets. That's what this asked you.
yeah, we did. It was on, it's right here.
Well, they weren't there with the football field. They weren't here when the tennis court first came in. This is the first.
That's why I just asked you if they might be in the school.
Yes. But I was told it wasn't, when I asked the sewer commission, they didn't think it was for this property for the school. Good.
We're just running around town looking for them. Just checking.
So this, Chairman Alden, can I speak on that? I think the way that sort of occurred was, they were advised, Tilton School was advised to submit a building permit for that. And at the time, it was unknown to the code enforcement officer that there was a site plan review application in the works. So when he discovered that they were kind of occurring at the same time, he and I talked, and I reached out to Tilton School, and I said, you know, I know you were told that it was going to be addressed simply through a building permit, but it probably makes sense to go ahead and add that to your site plan review. So when they submitted this recent amendment, they followed through on that. It is a very small structure.
Have
One
you
question,
contacted
lights?
the sewer department?
Lights?
Any lights on it?
No.
No,
just interior.
interior lights.
Open only when the field is
Correct.
closed otherwise?
Correct.
Just the sewer. Just the water.
Have you contacted the sewer department?
Yes.
Yeah.
So number 3 is, are we ready now for the compliance hearing?
I believe their request to submit a stormwater maintenance report. I don't know if you have that.
I did, thank you.
Should we have that as part of the site plan review?
Yes, they're gonna get that to us as part of the nation. I'm sure it's gonna be fine. We'll have that quickly.
Stormwater,
What is it, the operations and maintenance plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't it a SWOP document?
What's that?
Isn't it a SWOP document?
Well, we have to submit a SWIP as well as an operation and maintenance plan.
and now, number 4 can be compliance hearing. To be held on October 27, 2015. Somebody want to put that one? Hmm? You can read my writing, it's not that bad. My glasses aren't that good.
Make a motion to accept the following conditions remarked.
You want me to read them off? I can read them off, because I can read my own writing.
Who's making this motion here?
Catherine.
I was just kind of giving them a push.
Catherine started it, but I'm gonna read the conditions, okay?
Alright.
Only because I have them written down in
Sure.
my writing, which is not great, it's illegible. Number 1, lighting issue to be resolved to the satisfaction of the Tilton Board of Selectmen. 2, planting of appropriate screening vegetation, i.e. coniferous trees by October 15, 2015, for the purpose of blocking view of the parking lot and electrical box from view of 1 Pillsbury Lane. 3, submission of stormwater operations and maintenance plan. And 4, compliance hearing to be held on October 27, 2015.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I'll forward that to you. Okay.
Hi, Mr. Jones.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Sorry, in case I forget, will you let me know when you do that?
Darn, I want this one. You can't read my writing. I'll do that. And Judy is staying.
Oh, okay. You?
All right, moving right along. Planning board case 15-16, site plan review, proposal to construct and operate a cafe at 570 Laconia Road in the mixed-use district. R9/57-1.
Oh.
No, I don't.
Problem with that.
Here, how about this?
It's just
All right.
not as skinny as the last time.
You got James correct.
All right, everybody has a copy of the application?
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. I'll sit down for the accept the application.
Make a motion to accept the application as substantially complete once Mr. Bernard signs it. Who's got the main copy?
As many applications as you filled out, you forgot to sign.
I'm willing to sign.
No, the one I have is signed.
Ah,
Yeah.
Sign the back.
No, that's,
Oh,
Alice didn't sign the front.
Oh, no,
On
we
the
didn't
back,
sign
it
the
asks
front.
who did the
Yeah.
checklist. On the front,
Yeah,
just did
yeah,
everything.
no, I see it, yeah.
Different.
I will sign each individual.
No, you don't have to sign, you just have to sign the original, you have the original copy.
Yeah, just to kind of recap things before saying,
Just
going
wait.
to you, Conservation Commission, here's kind of the result of everything we talked to everybody about, and, see if there's any last comments before.
Catherine.
Pipe went up and down the road all night.
I tried to do like an overview, I can email it, I'll email this to you guys.
Yeah.
When?
A little while ago.
Turn.
Missed it.
She tried to get out of voting.
Bitter lane,
Recall.
turn lane,
Yeah.
and then just kind of what we're doing
I don't know if I know this.
on site. And emails. Print it out, pictures.
It's signed, yep.
Okay.
All right.
These are available.
Mr. Bernard, if you would pay attention to the planning
Table,
board,
but
we're ready to hear
Everybody
you.
seconded or?
Second.
This one you said, you said.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
And we're doing 42.
For the record, my name is John Bernard.
Don't get that close to me.
And I'm here with Dr. Cal Gagg, who is planning to open this up along with Dr. Jillian out of Awakening Chiropractic. So we are familiar with how they operate the business. And the building is in place. And the things that you see here in orange are already existing. This retaining wall was in, and the building is set up. The ones that are in pink are proposed. Now, we're getting ready to retaining walls, because there's a lot of talk about retaining walls. But we've already been in front of the ZBA and have the ZBA variance for the retaining walls. Her business is a very simple type of business that she's going to be operating. It's a juice business, basically. It's a cafe that puts together really healthy juices. Why don't you speak to us just about what that process is, and then I'll pick up with the technical stuff as we go along with that. So why don't you tell us about your juices?
Sure. So what we plan to do is, well, juicing and smoothies, and that's something that's very up and coming and very, very popular now that there's a trend towards healthier alternatives. And then we also plan to do the cafe part of it is basically a raw vegan. There might be a couple vegetarian type options there, but nothing is cooked, so we don't have a lot of the rules to follow in terms of oil and the hoods and all of that. So we will be doing that. But it's something that really promotes health in the community. And if I can share something personal, back in February, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and I've chosen to do alternative types of healing. And one of the things that I've looked into and have wholeheartedly embraced is a diet change, and I fought the cancer and reversed it. So I would love the chance to bring that to the community, and Dr. Jillian herself also suffers from chronic Lyme disease, and if you guys know how rare that is here, there's a lot of things dietarily that we can impart on the community and the public and just help to make it healthy.
Thank you.
So, getting back to the technical parts of it, we're planning on having 10 seats in there. So for the parking, you have to have for every 2 seats, you have to have 1 parking spot. And for every employee, you have to have 1 parking spot, according to your parking regulations. So we have 5 parking spots. We have a handicap parking regulations, and we were looking at them recently. I was in here with Catherine, we were looking at it, and the handicap parking space used to be 1.5, but now it actually is 2 parking spaces, 2 widths of parking spaces, which we have. And we have 2 places for the employees. This other parking area, as you know, already exists up there. Everybody's familiar with it, and that's an overflow for Awakening Chiropractor. The other thing is we've contacted, and I'm going to bounce around, we're going to try to catch all the technical stuff that we need to talk about. We contacted the Winnipesaukee River Basin and talked to them about what we were doing, what we were putting in the drains, and what we need an oil water separator, or another name is called a grease separator for a restaurant. They said in this requirement we're not doing it. What they did ask for us to do, though, is because there's a lot of pulp that's generated when you make these juices, and to have some way to capture that pulp. And as I talked to the doctor earlier, she said they were already aware of that, and they actually plan on taking that and composting it. So we don't have any requirements as far as an oil water separator. We already are hooked up to the storage there. We already have the water to the building. The drainage is going to be a concern for you folks, I'm sure. And so what we've done is had a sheet drain off from here to here. The building is just about 1,000 square feet that it covers. The parking area that I would like to propose is that we're allowed to cover 2,100. So the total square footage of this lot would be 3,000 square feet of impervious. We would also put some riprap in here, and as you know, the water always comes down here and drains along here, and drains right along here and goes down. The soil up here is real good sandy soil, and it usually is soaked in unless we have a really heavy rain, and then if it does, it continues all the way down through here, and there's a couple catch basins down there at the bottom. But the impact that we're having is very minimal. If you think of a house, some houses have a larger footprint than 3,000 square feet. I'm sure there's some questions. Oh, one of the other questions I want to talk to you about. This parking lot, as you come in with your driveway, you'd be able to pull in and pull back out to Route 3. But once you went up onto this area, we would have a sign saying that this is a one-way area. We want to make sure the traffic flow is going out in this direction for these parking spots up there. But these would be allowed to come in and then go back out in this direction here.
Out onto the main road?
They go to the main road, right? We have a driveway permit for that from the state already too. Trying to think of what other questions.
You turn either way, John? They can go left or
They
right?
can go left or right, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's a heck of a lot easier to go right. When I come out of there, I like to go right. But you can't always go right, but you like to go right.
So what did you say about the top parking lot?
This area here is a one-way. Once you go up here, you have to exit this way.
Okay, so you're gonna make that one-way.
From here up.
To Grange Road.
Correct.
So
No.
how do the employees that already parked up there get in from down?
They all
Grange
know,
Road.
everybody comes in from up here and they go back out that way. They do now. We'll just be adding 2 more parking spaces to also go out that way. They don't, I've never seen it.
Are you gonna delineate the parking somehow in that parking lot?
I would love
Because
to.
they park haphazardly.
I
There
would-
is no ingress or egress to Route 3 at all.
I would get so much more parking out of that
Yes.
if I had it laid out and lined. Absolutely, I could fit a ton more cars on there. The only way that I know how to do that is by paving part of it, by putting pads down and
I
paving,
was gonna
which.
say, you can't do it any other way, because right now.
It's impossible.
there's no way to do it.
And you know what's funny is that you and I had this discussion here, and when you said it, you know, there's some things in life when someone says it and it just rings true and you go, I never thought about it, but it's absolutely true. When we approve all these different parking areas for impervious, because no one likes the word impervious and draining, right? We all want the water to go back to the ground. But once you do that, you can't delineate parking. It's impossible. You can put little signs up, I've tried that before, but really the way to delineate parking, to make it organized and to make the traffic flow is pavement. Now, there's impervious pavement that's coming out, which is really a good stuff.
It's out,
Yeah, it's out, but it's kind of out.
expensive.
Yeah.
I know, I knew what you're.
I know, I'm not opposed to doing that. The other thing that we should talk about here, just because we're here, we're all friendly, having this conversation. This walkway needs to go in. I know it.
You think?
I know it needs to go in. Here's my promise. Before you see a snowflake fall, you will have a beautiful, beautiful walkway there.
You do know that it is totally overgrown with a very invasive plant.
What is that stuff?
That even
Japanese
ended, Japanese knotweed. It even ended up on the
Japanese
front.
what?
Knotweed. It even ended up on the front page of the Citizen, this month.
Did that come from your property up above?
No, it didn't.
No, she planted it.
I planted it there, so it would go onto yours.
Yes.
No, but it really treats Lyme disease.
Yeah, it does.
What? Knotweed.
Knotweed.
Knotweed's a cure for Lyme disease. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Yes, it is.
Come on.
It is.
John, I wish you had 5 parking down below.
That's true.
I thought you said you had 5.
It
I do
is.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, so this little loopy thing is.
That's not a parking
That's not
spot.
a-
I made that so you could turn and actually get into
And
it.
that's a very nice
So where-
retaining wall, I want to tell you.
Which one? The one that thing, that was ridiculously expensive. You know what I'm talking about. I won't do
It was
those
worth
anymore.
every penny.
I'm not doing those anymore. I'm going back to Allen blocks. I thought that was a new solution. I thought that was a great idea.
I drove in there today and tried to drive through.
Yes.
That was not gonna happen.
No, needs some work.
I had a very difficult time getting out of the parking lot and back onto Grange Road because of the way the cars were parked.
Yes. It is not intended right now for it to be, we don't have anything except for the employees parking.
And I walked there this past Friday, and there were cars stacked on top of each other
Yes.
almost.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a car blocked in so that unless they were working a different shift, they couldn't possibly have gotten out.
I think you should make a motion forcing me to pave that right now.
So what assures
I mean,
us
don't be
that the
afraid.
parking for this portion of that property
What are you gonna pave?
is not gonna be a mess?
What are you gonna pave? That's the solution. You cannot have a,
That will be in the minutes.
I'm happy to put it in
You
the,
just
I will
said that.
even do this, I will even do this and put this in the minutes. I'd love to pave this area in here that designates for them to park where they're supposed to park. I'd like to do that. When I got that approval, we were supposed to be as gravel, but I'm happy to pave it, I will pave that. If you'd like.
Was the gravel up top something to do with wetlands? Weren't we right on the wetlands up there?
No, it had nothing to do with that, it really had to do with how cheap I was, I had no money at the time.
I don't think that even came up.
I think he
The
has
original.
enough area for wetlands on that property. That, if that small section of that parking lot, and that section of that parking lot were paved, it would be a problem. In fact, right now, it's a safety issue. It's crazy.
I'm with you, thank you.
Kind of like when
Have you
we
been
went
to the
on
fire
Great
department
Falls,
yet?
You went on the other side.
What, a fire department, no, what was that? Alright. No, the fire department will come involved when I go for my occupancy permit. That's when they're gonna get involved, and they're gonna tell me,
I'd like them involved in the turning lanes and everything. Make sure that they've got enough that they can get in there and turn around and do what they got.
That's very tight.
yeah, I'm happy with having the fire department look at this. I mean, they must have looked at it when we approved the parking lot before.
No, because you never
No,
done.
this is a whole
So
different little.
So the fire department is to look at the traffic flow, is that what you'd like them to look
Yeah,
at?
we need to know if they
No,
can.
They can, they need
Truck
to get
can-
in case there's.
Wait, they're gonna come in here though, right? They're gonna come in here off of Route 3.
And they're gonna be able to turn, and if there's vehicles here, do they have enough room to do what they need to do is our question.
I'll ask them. I'm sure, that, I,
Make it back to the condition.
yeah, that's fine. We haven't talked to the fire department.
And you are connected to sewer, right?
I am. And it's already connected, the building's already connected. And we're connected to water.
And I'll caution you, are you gonna compost on site?
Mostly, no, offsite.
No, because there's a problem there. We've tried it at the senior center, you can't, they're animals. We have
Hey,
that,
talking about me again?
we have that expensive compost poster over there, we can't use it.
Oh, I
It's
compost all
animals.
the time.
Yeah, I'm giving
Um,
my for it.
And left as soon as it came.
There'll be
Yes,
others.
I do.
Is it gonna be on the bottom floor of that building?
Only the bottom floor.
You said you were already hooked to sewer?
I am.
Have you been to the Tilton sewer?
I have.
You have.
Yeah, you have to get that and they have to be out there.
I must have missed that meeting.
You weren't on that time when I did it, were you?
No.
How could you don't miss a single meeting?
When I see John Bernard,
Oh, thank
I
you.
respond.
So what's
Not
going
sure
on
how to-
upstairs?
Scary, isn't it?
Have you rented the upstairs yet?
No, that's all this. They're gonna use it, but
Probably gonna be a hamburger joint on morning, and we know him. We've known him for a long time.
you know I'm a
Probably
cowboy.
gonna be a McDonald's.
He's gonna have fried chicken and punch
That's
bowl.
right.
Yeah.
That's what I was brought up on.
Heart attack.
Gonna be a Popeyes.
The new building's already up for,
Taco Bell.
yeah.
Okay,
You a Taco Bell fan, are
well, like fast food, I like. Love it.
So I see you've got two lights indicated on this drawing.
you? Yes, they're already on.
Sparklies.
Yes, thank you. One of them is already on the building, and if you noticed it, going by at night, that already is on there. And
I know.
And then it isn't 3 sparklers, because we have one over in the parking area also, which also already has a light on it too, and I'll point it out, it's kind of dark.
Yeah, I don't see one.
It's It's
Yeah.
right there, believe it or not. So that, and those already exist,
All three?
2. I didn't put the one over here. Over here, I'm sorry.
Will there be a sign?
Yeah, and the sign is designated on the plan too.
Oh, is that what that
That's
is?
the sign.
That's a sign, isn't it cute?
Where is it? It's right here.
Right in front. It's a site. Yes.
Oh, it's a sign, yeah, look at that.
You know what I was thinking about doing with that sign to try to keep the light down too, is I wonder if I could shoot the light from here to that sign. We'll have to look at that, that's what I'd like to do. I don't know if anybody's ever
Those
done
cute
that.
little signs like that.
Do you really think you're gonna have parking on the top like that?
Yeah, I would do. I think it's gonna work out fine.
Because
I really do, I think it really will work.
In front of the building.
I do all the measurements and stuff.
right here,
Yeah, I measured it all up. I
but
thought.
all those cars jumbled in there.
Well,
That's what I'm
those cars
saying.
are a mess, they've always
I
been a
didn't-
mess.
yeah.
And then the solution, the solution is to pave it so you can delineate the marking. And that's really, Catherine, that when you and I was talking about it, and the light, when you said that to me, I'm like, yeah, I don't know how else you do it.
So we ain't gonna give it.
When? As soon as they get this approval.
Oh,
Now, is this snow
Oh,
storage
okay.
in there at the same elevation as the to-be paved parking, or is that down a little bit?
It's gonna be in the same, when that's all gonna be lifted up, and really
So
what.
you're gonna push snow all the way from up here to down here?
No,
all the
you know
way
what,
up there?
what you really do, and this is how, wow, it really works, you come in and you plow, this is bullshit, you come in and you plow as much as you can, and you put it out in here, right, and then that gets piled up, and then you take the snow and you push it over here, and you push it up into here, and then you know what happens, you get a phone call and you start bringing your front end loader and you put it in your dump trucks and everybody's happy with you. So that's really how snow works. Snow this winter was insane.
oh, yeah.
But I kept my eye on your lots, believe me. Make sure you were hauling it away.
I even called in to make sure it was legal to have a snow dump, and then I was just reading in your other regulations again. You have to have it in certain designated areas, can't be any kind of, but
Do you own the abutting property?
I do.
That's what I thought. Well, it looks like you have a little corner, but it's not the wetland.
Very little.
Is this all wooded?
This right here has a culvert in it, which we have approval from the state, from the town, from the Conservation Commission, and that's already put in to go over it, that's already.
So you can push snow over?
Oh, yeah, I can put it all in this hole.
Okay.
Yeah, there's lots of room. And truthfully, someday I'll come back and develop this lot here. And this lot's a huge lot. There's a ton of space up in there. I can have like I started figuring.
Where is that?
That's right next to it.
Oh,
I own that too, yeah.
Oh, goody.
I knew that.
Big mall, right? Clothing
It's 1
stores
acre,
and
so what do you think?
I go,
Hey, I'm trying to
I go
survive.
picking-
I
I go hunting mushrooms up there.
Getting any? The type.
I'm still waiting for the deli.
I want the building myself. I'm sorry that hasn't happened.
Should've got coffee.
The closest I got was a Chinese restaurant wanted to go in there, and then there was a guy who wanted to have a barbecue pit.
All right, there's a request for a 5-minute recess.
Oh, no, that's not what I was saying.
I thought you were saying.
No, I was just asked, I wanted to mention something.
All right. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So, I don't think, based on what everyone's talking about, I'm not clear right now on what's gonna maybe be paved and what's not. But regardless, I went and visited the site today, because, there's not a whole lot of drainage information on that plan. When John and I, Mr. Bernard and I talked, he was saying, well, it's a pretty simple system, so there's not a lot to draw on there. And I think that's right. However, given the 5 minutes I spent there looking at the layout of the site, I do feel that before paving takes place, there should be some assurance provided to the town that runoff migrating off the site there won't be any increase in runoff migrating from the site following paving. And as Ms. Dawson brought up, there are a lot of natural features on that site that are capable of attenuating the water, and I think that's kind of what you're gonna do. But nonetheless, especially where, here at this meeting, the areas that are being paved are being sort of batted around. I think there maybe should be some, again, like what was done with the last case, maybe a condition for a compliance hearing that says prior to any paving, something will be submitted showing that, again, the runoff, there won't be an increase in runoff.
I'm not opposed to that. We did that in this last study when we did this up here, and I actually hired the Turner Group. It was quite expensive, but I have a report from them talking about that runoff. that's what it would entail. I have to hire an engineering firm like that, they go out, they determine it, it's a study that they do. I'm pretty confident, only because we've already done a study on the property, on that upper part of that parking, what we're going to do,
I
so
don't
I'd be
think we're
happy.
asking for a soil.
I think verification of some sort, I mean, and because it, you know, again, it's not purely administrative, it should take place at some, you know, confirming whether that's been met, should take place at some planning board meeting, but it may not mean, I mean, if you have data for the site already, and there are ways of depicting water flow and showing that it's clearly not going off-site, that may be a way of handling it.
I'd be happy to do something for you, and as, you know, I have somewhat of a history here, I seem to do things the right way, I'm just not gonna do things a shoddy way that's gonna cause any kind of erosion for us, because, you know, I tend to do things over and above. You know, if you go and you look at the riprap that we put in here, it's still good, it's still clean, the vegetation's still clean on it, we keep it that way, and I'm
The
sure.
walkway, that's about
The
What's that?
walkway? The walkway is the big issue.
No.
That's gonna be nice.
No,
That's
I
gonna be
think,
nice.
I think that's a very good idea. And I think, are you gonna, we probably have a copy of that anyway, don't we?
Yeah, we do. I know we do. It's all part of the minutes. We looked it up when we did that parking.
And you
lot.
can
That was
meet
all.
with.
Yeah, I can
with
go
our-
over that. And, yeah, I'd be happy to.
I think it's maybe more a matter of just making sure, you know, me, myself, and the board have done our due diligence, not a matter of any distrust.
No, I don't want to say that it's, I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do, but whatever. You know, it looks big on the map, but it's a very small area we start really talking about. I don't think it's as big as one of their parking, tennis courts probably. One tennis court is probably about the whole.
No, again, I don't see it as a major issue, but it's something that, as a matter of doing due diligence.
Right. Any more comments, questions from the planning board? Audience?
Say something.
Yeah, you gotta say something.
Say hi.
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 Hi, Erica. Nice to see you.
Just checking up on you, John, that's all.
Wouldn't you have to come back to ask them, leave up there, because it's a different lot?
It's one lot, and I have no problem coming back to ask to pay that up there. I think Catherine makes a good point, it's chaotic up there, and it needs to be done. You know, maybe to help us get this process moving, I'd be allowed to pay 2,100 square feet of the lower area, which only brings me into this area here, and brings me off the road. And I'd be happy to come back and submit something of what we're going to pave up here, I really am. I mean, I'd like to pave that. It's expensive to pave, now we all know that, but if you're gonna, in the wintertime, it makes my job a lot easier. And the cars being parked up there, they're not trying to park chaotically up there, there's just no one up there.
Well, we paved a little bit for you, we did not.
I appreciate that.
Remember that?
That was nice of you. And well, I won't get into it, but these lots are actually bigger too. This is a 2-rod road instead of what we thought it was. This lot is actually a bigger lot. Either here or there. Okay.
All right, any other comments, questions? Question down for you. He's gonna pay the upper lot, come back to separate.
Is that what, are you asking, is that what I was thinking?
Is that what we were thinking?
I guess my thought would be, we've got a couple things, I mean,
We've got the drainage issue.
yeah, I might say,
It needs to show the drainage of the watershed of whatever
Exactly.
paved area.
Exactly.
yeah,
Because
I guess I'm,
It's gonna
about-
change the flow.
Why I'm asking Doris, because he's gonna pave it in 2 separate phases, I think.
well, Yeah, there's two issues. One is what we're talking about now a variation from what was depicted on the plan, and how do we accurately capture that? So there's that issue, but the second issue is, this sort of, I was proposing that, to say before any actual pavement goes down on the ground, verification be sort of substantiated at a compliance hearing to say that the peak runoff will be no greater than it was prior to development. I hope I didn't just make things more confusing by saying that.
I think that you can't make it, I can't make a statement that it has to be more runoff if you pave it, if you build a house, if you do something, you make it a pervious surface, you have to have more runoff. I'm not sure.
How do you,
I'm not sure how you.
You direct it toward.
No, I know, I'm just not sure about the terminology of what you're saying, but I understand what you want to do.
The off-site runoff, I guess, so yeah, there's gonna be like on the area that was once paved, was once bare soil and is now paved.
Exactly.
Obviously, right there, the run, you can't.
That's what I'm
do it.
saying, so the
Right.
way that you
Yeah.
were proposing it sounded like I can't have any more runoff off the pavement than I had before.
Yeah,
and
I should say
that's-
off
Like
the
we say,
property.
off-site
premise.
peak runoff.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I just-
No
I just don't
greater.
want to get caught up in the technicality when I come back. We all know we're trying to do the right thing.
Just show us where the
Yeah.
water's going.
Yeah.
Will do.
I mean, it's just,
I'm
yeah,
not
it's a
sure
matter
where
of
the water's
simple
going.
compliance, yeah.
It's easy.
All right,
Okay.
so I guess we need another, do we need to continue this meeting?
I don't
Or
think so.
Just
No, just have
approve it
compliance.
and then have the compliance, all right. All right, I don't wanna hold you up this one. I don't wanna do it incorrectly either. Okay, I've got the condition.
Do you have the fire department look at his ingress and egress?
Yeah,
Fire department did receive notice, they received the plan.
So we should get verification from them.
yeah. So I'll take a motion with, if you wanna share with us. Andrew.
Are we going to put a condition in there that the sidewalk is finished by? It is one piece of property, all one lot. We should have a finished date for that sidewalk.
Good with that.
That way, if the sidewalk's done, then we can pull his occupancy permit. Just saying.
Ooh, space.
Oh my God!
Catherine, there may be
But
more
don't
than
worry.
one condition.
You're over there going,
She was one in.
Wow.
Those pens aren't doing you much good, are they?
No, they're just driving the stake deeper.
I'm sure there's a juice that will help that.
Yeah.
You better dig up some of that knotweed.
But we gotta get the juice part first, right?
That's right, before you do that either,
So we better hurry and do this right away. All right.
So he's gonna do this lot here, right? You wanna go down to that little one there?
She's gonna do the one up above.
You do the one up above first?
Well, no,
No,
no.
the one below.
The one below first. 21 square feet. Okay,
100
so,
square
21.
one part of it.
One spot.
All right. So what do you like, because you're following along, I've got the conditions.
Make a motion to accept with the following conditions, and they are.
Yeah, they are. Okay, compliance with the fire department,
Ingress and egress.
ingress and egress. And finish sidewalk by
October 30th.
2015.
Oh.
October 30th,
Second time's
2015.
nice.
Oh, yeah.
And documentation for off-site peak runoff to be no greater than it was prior to development. Right, Mr.
Why do we have something that has drainage plan for the
Yeah, that
parking lot?
sounds better.
What I'm trying to say is that more water can't, like, if we have an inch of rainfall, The amount of water that used to come off the site,
Okay.
one of the major receiving areas would be the state's highway system.
Yeah.
Must not, so that the water must not be more how it
But I
was
said
before.
documentation that it will
Yeah, I mean,
not be more. Is
I
that
thought what you
okay?
said was pretty, I mean, maybe the word peak doesn't need to be in there, but
Okay,
yeah. basically.
documentation that off-site runoff is no greater than it was prior to development of site.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
it's a drainage plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a full-blown crazy drainage plan you just created.
I don't,
There's no way you can get around other than that, you just
well,
created like
let's take
$10,000 worth of
the site that just
paperwork.
came in. Well, the people who just came in, probably not gonna get off this easy, but they were able to clearly show, this is how it used to be. Here, we've added a rain garden, so obviously, only difference being the addition of the rain garden, we've improved the site conditions, so.
Right, but what?
So show us where the water's going.
Yeah, I'll be happy to show you where the water's going and how it's being treated.
Well,
But
that's
the
all that's
terminology
wrong.
that you're saying, it can't be any greater than what it is right now. It's nearly impossible, you say maybe.
No, that's what happens on, when we receive, as I'm sure you've seen, a drainage report.
9 tons of them, Darren.
Okay.
I know exactly where you're
So
going with it.
so probably the most important element of that report, the first thing planning board members look at is what's the post and,
Right,
pre
but
and
that's a
post.
full-blown engineering thing that you're asking me to do for this
That's
small
not what
site.
we're asking.
But
It's the only way that I'll be able to give you what you're asking when you say that. That's all I'm
if that's
pointing out.
if that's your determination, I mean, I'm willing to work with you to find, find a way that has the least,
Okay,
cost.
I'll work with you then, that's fine, I'm open to it, I just
Okay.
don't understand, but I'll work with you, whatever it is, I'm in.
Can he put in a rain garden?
Potentially. I mean, in a lot of ways, he has a million little rain gardens on his property, to
He has a giant rain
vegetative
garden.
depression.
Yeah,
I love the rain garden.
okay. And what else?
He was gonna put up a one-way sign.
The most effective ones are the one-way signs are on the pavement, painted on the pavement. So I'm gonna say that, we say painted on the pavement.
Indicate one way.
Right.
Sorry, I can't spell.
Don't worry about it. I'll write it out.
Hmm?
The THE.
Directional signals on pavement.
And something I guess should be clear, that we realize that this is going to be two-way traffic here, and this is one-way traffic up here. With no,
That's really up to the state of New Hampshire.
oh, you don't want me to do that?
Your driveway entrance to that property is the state of New Hampshire, right there.
And this one is too, right? I was just saying that, okay.
Is that it for conditions?
Yeah.
No.
Did we get the state driveway permit?
We had the driveway permit.
Yeah, it's
We already
years
had
old.
it. We had it.
For the shared driveway, the new shared driveway?
Maybe,
I think so.
could be,
One of the first things you did.
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But,
Is it one that it says proposed common driveway? Is that for a shared driveway for both lots? Catherine,
Excuse me.
is that for a proposed driveway for both lots?
He has a driveway permit for here and here. Yes,
Right, but now
this
he's
is
saying
one
he's
lot.
going to do a proposed.
There is a driveway permit for this lot too, I believe, is there not?
It's part of it, they
Yeah.
both had to come in at the same point.
Yeah.
So when we went for the subdivision, I bought that piece of property, and when we subdivided it, they needed the driveway to be right in the middle, and that's where it is. It's already there.
There's one, two, if you will, it's 3 permits. I have copies of them upstairs.
Yeah, that's all it is.
I
All
wrote
right.
the image on there.
So I think that's it.
Well, if you missed anything.
All right. All in favor?
Oh,
Aye.
I'm sorry, it needs to be more, in my opinion, it needs to be more clear with
I wrote them, I have them written down for you. Is it-
I mean,
Maybe you better read them off.
if you could.
Okay. Fire department permit to show ingress and egress 2, sidewalk finished by October 30th, 2015. 3, documentation to show off-site drainage runoff not greater than it was prior to development of site. 4, signage on pavement, directional signage on pavement.
Should we put just directional signage in case he finds it's easier to put up a sign?
All right,
on
just
pavement
directional
and let him
signage.
decide which
All
way
right,
he wants to
directional
go.
signage.
For parking?
Gets into it.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the one that said on.
No, for
Oh, for
ingress,
the one
egress,
way.
for ingress, egress.
It has been in the winter. That's no problem.
And did you want the documentation of the post runoff to, you want to call that administrative, where it's a matter of me looking at it to see that it meets that, or do you want to call it non-administrative, where it needs to be addressed in
I
compliance?
thought you said you were going to help him.
I was going to help him get the report done
Right.
now, or determine what, what'll satisfy
You
that.
want to have a hearing or not, that's what you're asking.
Mhm.
Did you indicate that he's going to be paving 2,100 square feet?
I have it written down, so I can read it all.
That should be the condition.
Will be paving,
What we're talking about.
2,100 feet in lower parking lot.
Meaning that if he wants to go up and, if this is in here, it would seem that if he wants to go and pave the upper area, it might, are you thinking that? You
Well,
want
I'm
that
thinking that
required?
2,100 square feet paving needs to be connected to the, show us where the water is. Otherwise, why is he showing us where the water is?
Yeah, it's just concept.
You know what I mean? There's no
It's not-
language in there
it's-
that says that, before you pave
Send Catherine the email.
2,100 square feet in the lower parking lot,
Like that.
or
So I'm gonna do
pave the
that
upper
as
parking
3.
lot.
Okay, I'll send
You
you
This
this.
is
need
gonna be
to show us where the water
4.
is going to go. Okay.
This is gonna be 5. I just changed the number.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in other words, if you look at just what she's written, it doesn't say anything about paving, so why does he have to show us
Well,
where the water
my
is?
No,
thought
I
was to
changed
say-
the sequence of the numbers. I did number 3 is, will be paving 2,100 square feet in the lower parking lot. And then 4, documentation showing runoff. So it comes after that paving.
Would
I
I
think
help,
it's be connected.
would I help you guys if I said I'll come back for a compliance hearing before I do any pavement, and that way we don't have the exact number, I'll come back, I'll show you, this is what we're gonna pave, because I couldn't do the upper part at this time too. So I'll say, no paving can be done until I come back to a compliance hearing, so I'll bring in a new set of plans that shows you where the water's gonna go, and then we'll know an exact number of what we're gonna pave and pave it up. Does that make it easier for everybody?
That's
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sure you wanna look to them?
So now 3 and 4 is off.
Fine, I could find this stuff fast.
1, 2, 5, and 6 will be
1,
compliance.
2.
You're asking me that 10 years.
So now the conditions are fire department,
Yep, got
okay,
it,
the sidewalk,
got it. By October 30th,
yeah,
2000.
and the signage,
Signage, got it.
Directional sign.
directional signage,
Yes.
okay?
And then compliance.
Oh.
And then compliance hearing?
Before you pave.
Thought.
Prior to paving.
Prior to any should I take a stab at it? Prior to any paving, a compliance hearing shall be held to, that would probably do it. If you want to go on, you could say to verify runoff.
I'm gonna say it, but
Yeah.
there's nothing now that requires him to pave that little parking lot before they open.
No.
No.
I could open it without that. But I don't. And I think I should be able to open it without it, because I'm not increasing any impervious, but I want to pave it. I want to pave the upper part too. I don't mind you saying that I have to pave.
I just know that the upper parking lot today was just.
It's always
it was
like that.
unbelievable.
Every day it's like
It
that.
looked like they were parked in a circle or
All right.
something.
It was kind of cool in a way, it was like they
Oh.
planned it, but there was no way you were going down
They
the road
do it every
today.
day though.
All right, let's get back, so, condition 1 is fire department approval I can just say fire department approval, right?
For ingress and egress.
Or in, do I have to say that?
Yeah, because there's two different approvals, those one and approved building for occupancy.
Okay.
We want them to look at it for
They
ingress and
already done
egress
that.
for.
2, sidewalk complete by 10/30/15. Signage,
Directional signage.
directional signage for parking.
I thought it was for ingress, egress,
Yeah.
not for parking, for getting people in and out.
It is ingress and egress.
Don't add anything else.
And then, that's it.
Compliance.
And then number 4 is prior to any payments.
Keep going, keep going.
A compliance hearing will be held.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
All opposed? All right.
Thank you for working with me on this one.
Thanks for coming in and making our lives complete, John. It's very nice to see you again.
You gotta show them where all the numbers are.
He really missed you, you know.
Yeah. Okay, awesome.
Catherine, you wait a minute, we're gonna take a 5-minute recess.
Thank you, ladies, have a good night.
I need to talk to him.
Actually,
Before he
are there
leaves.
anything about what you guys do with juice?
Yeah, one of the last things in your packet, the second to last thing in your packet is a business plan for the Granite Dome that was just submitted today, so, it's kind of interesting, it may, you probably should review it before, comes to talk.
On our bounds.
She just,
We had got
Yeah, it's still-
interpretable but then for, no, we don't want that one, so we got the Omega instead. We're using like the,
Has been moved to the next.
yeah.
They call it right there, they call it.
oh, right, yeah. I did that on purpose.
Thank you.
So we're taking 5 now.
That can
We're
go.
doing like wheatgrass,
Whatever you want.
like doing wheatgrass. And then we're putting it through the Omega because you can get a bunch of the juice out of it. Yeah, but we
So what I've done is an
a
house.
ton of cucumbers.
What's
A
that?
ton of beets.
Look at
And a
it.
ton of
Oh,
carrots.
yeah,
So
no,
we're like five
So
for
that's
each of them.
me. Mind if we kill some of yours?
So the camera and,
Yeah, yeah, I do it.
We have a 6-year-old, 4-year-old, and one.
Of course, I, you know,
Yeah. Creates an environment for it.
yeah, so no, of course, I can,
Okay.
yeah.
I just.
It's sure he's very,
I don't have
he's a good guy.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'd be happy to meet with him, if you want to talk to me, or you can just go do it.
Well, when he comes up with the thing, I'll just come in and say, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Because you should be aware, because he's gonna be spraying herbicides.
Yeah.
So you need to know.
Yep,
Cool.
got it, thanks.
Captain and the EMTs.
Here, keep it right there.
Well, you can have this one, but it's the Concord office, same number there, but it's on Grange Road. That
Okay.
one is the first center, which I do some work at.
Okay. Okay.
You just Google awakeningchiropractor.com.
Yep.
That's the same website, so you can
Okay.
find it there.
That's you?
That's me.
Oh, awesome.
Actually, I just changed it.
Okay.
But that's it.
Really cool. Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm John.
John too.
Hey, John, too.
Congratulations. Thank you.
That wasn't gonna happen.
What was it that they needed?
I shoot sugar.
Oh, it's a while. You drinking soda? I can't drink soda.
I did read in
I
here
don't
that they're
know,
gonna
is it?
ground it, because if.
At least I think
the
it's
silt won't
disgusting now.
blow away.
That's awesome.
That'd be fun.
With the kids in it,
Once in a
remember
while,
we talked
it's
about
sick.
the
Okay,
bouncy houses?
But no.
But it does say in here.
I do have to give you a beer. It's not on my diet. It doesn't work.
I just figured.
Can't go to the gym in the morning. All right, 300 calories, good, I'm good for 2. No, can't do that.
I say to myself, well, if I don't eat dinner, then I
So
can
the
drink beer.
heating
But that makes it
is
even worse.
My sensors and my laptop.
Yeah.
I'm like on my third beer. I'm gonna be hungover tomorrow.
Exhaust fan,
3?
If I don't eat,
Sensors.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's like, you know.
Sensors and
We're
whatever.
fine now.
Furnace.
Maybe not 3, but.
You know, they're gonna have electric motor
I'm
fans.
usually 5
Oh, yeah.
in the evening. Unless I want to go off the other edge.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this a conceptual? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Again.
Just kind of
Okay.
trying to recap what we talked to everybody about. Give you guys some other information. Here's a couple of the photos of the ones that are actually, these are both New Hampshire ones. And both of these that you're seeing pictures of are dramatically bigger than what we're doing. They're like almost double in size.
Now, is this their clubhouse?
Yep.
Same as.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I brought the first one.
They just
I
hand
don't
me.
know, I don't know if Paula had ever brought any of these. Here are a couple copies of
Oh,
the,
here's the inside. Look at the
It's
inside.
empty.
yeah,
Very
photo
good.
of the inside.
Chairman needs.
Where would the drop downs come
I
in?
need some. May I have?
Isn't there gonna be drop downs? To separate it into different fields?
No, they're set up on the fields, like it's actually like partitions that sit on the ground.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anybody want to do?
I can, put a big,
I got plenty.
This is
Oh.
kind of.
Well, I asked,
curious.
is
I gotta
this
tell
the
you,
clubhouse?
didn't feel
Because it's not gonna be
comfortable
blow up,
standing.
it's gonna be.
You didn't have.
Yeah, the clubhouse,
I
the
don't
clubhouse
know,
is
I have
still,
another one there in.
That's a clubhouse?
well, that's their version.
That's it.
You've been
yeah.
there.
Yeah, you'll see on his, I said this earlier.
Okay. Is this,
Because they're gonna do, I like the live streaming part.
is this a conceptual or?
Conceptual.
Yeah, conceptual, yep.
Thank you. Send everybody to the game, and I'll just sit on the computer, go kids!
So you want to shut up and keep talking?
Yeah, there you go.
All right,
So
we're
you guys
ready
are
to
gonna
start.
Oh, I'm not one of those.
We're ready to start. Planning board. I didn't get one of those either. Planning board case 15-01. It's a preliminary site plan conceptual consultation. Proposal to construct and operate an indoor sports facility at 18 Bittern Lane in the regional commercial district. All right. Everybody had a chance to look this over? I know we just got handouts, so let's just look those over. I didn't get one of these till now, so just want to see. And the issue with the roadway is all resolved, that's all.
Yes, that was part of the reason why we wanted to come to you guys tonight, to just kind of recap everything we've been doing. And we've actually worked pretty extensively with the selectmen, and we have come to agreement on how we're gonna do everything now.
All right, then I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, I'm John Roque with Roque Consulting here for Paul and Bill on the Sports Center. They weren't able to be here tonight, but I wanted to make sure we at least got this out of the way so we can maybe get to the next step and start designing things. Since we were in front of you guys last, we've settled everything into the building that we want to do. We want to do the clubhouse. We're planning on doing as a phase 2. We're going to put the building up. We can actually put everything we need for the bathrooms and for, you know, operating the facility inside, like it's almost like a trailer that goes on the end of it. Other people have done that just to get the building up and running. And then the phase 2 will be actually constructing the stick-built structure on the outside.
What's the proposed size right now?
Of what?
The clubhouse.
The clubhouse was, it's the same clubhouse as what we had before. It's like 3,500 square feet or something like that.
You don't have the.
3,200 square feet. And we will be doing that just as phase two. The building is still the same 42,000 square foot building. We've rearranged all the parking. We took parking away from the back edge. And part of what we've discussed with the selectmen is that we're gonna introduce a turn lane, a left turn lane on Bittern Lane. So we're gonna expand the entrance of Bittern Lane. So when people are coming out and they wanna try to make a left turn, they have a turn lane to sit in, and if this starts queuing up too much and people know that they're not gonna be able to make a left turn, then they can go right and, get to wherever they need to and, get out a different way. The sidewalk, it currently runs down, it goes across and runs along Route 3. We're gonna turn it and actually do a widened shoulder, is what we discussed with the selectmen. We're gonna actually make it 7 feet wider, so you're gonna have basically your fog lane, or your frog line, then you'll have 2 feet, and then you'll have like 5 feet of walkway area. But it's a lot easier to maintain it in the winter for snow and everything else if it's just a widened shoulder that they can plow everything all the way off without.
That's going into the building?
Going all the way up into the building area, yep, all the way along Bittern Lane. So Bittern Lane is gonna be all the little inconsistencies in the width, all that's gonna be taken care of, and it's gonna be a widened shoulder for pedestrians coming from, either way, if coming from school this way, or however people wanna go. If there's pedestrian traffic, they'll be able to get in and out. We did go talk to the Conservation Commission also, and got input from them that we're going to be incorporating into the design once we get started with that. So we've kind of touched bases on that with them also.
This
We
plan
want,
to light Bittern Lane,
yes,
so there won't be any dark crooked places.
yep,
Who's lighting Bittern Lane, town or them?
we'd be putting them in, the lights, we'd be putting the lights in, but
We'll maintain.
you guys would end up maintaining it and paying the electricity on it probably. A lot of this layout's still the same. We have 2 areas for bus parking. We have a circulation for people to get in and out, drop off right in that area. So it's we have that all kind of laid out. We have talked to the state of New Hampshire and actually showed them this plan for the wetland permit. We actually have a wetland permit with mitigation already paid that's active for the site. But we need to amend the permit with an actual plan. Like we couldn't just turn in our concept plan. We actually asked if we could, but of course was denied that. So this will require a new alteration of terrain permit from the state of New Hampshire also. So we have to get our alteration of terrain designed and submitted, and then the wetland permit they'll amend our wetland permit to match what we've already paid the mitigation for. The mitigation was like $80,000, so we don't want to lose it. So, and that was for the car dealership back when they were thinking about doing like VW Audi there. So, because they had the dealership here and a back parking lot that wiped out all the wetlands, and they had the permit for it and alteration of terrain permits in the works, but just never went anywhere with it. Paula had put together the Granite Dome business plan that we submitted to you guys, so if that generates any questions from anybody, we can answer any questions with that. She gave me the locations of the couple sites that are in New Hampshire, and I printed those out. And I just went on the EA website and found an indoor soccer field, just so you can kind of see what a soccer field looks like from the inside a little bit.
Really big, huh?
Yeah. The ones you're seeing with the pictures, the ones in New Hampshire, the smaller one of them is 76,000 square feet, and the bigger one is 96,000 square feet. And we're only
Range is 96.
That's 96,000 square feet, and that's 76. Yeah, and we're only doing 42. So both the examples in New Hampshire are significantly larger than, one's more than double, 42,000.
Is that all you plan on doing?
Yep, that's,
That's
yep,
it, right?
yep. That was part of what we had discussed when we first originally came to you. There was a thought of doing 2 buildings eventually, but we're not doing
I
that.
thought you had said that,
Yep.
I was asking, okay.
Yep.
Now, when do you plan to be completed with phase 1? Do you have a projected completion date?
They wanna try to be open sometime, well, during the year, next year, for sure.
So
It had to be constructed and
2016.
open in 2016,
Okay.
yes.
And phase 2 would then,
And then phase 2 would be within a year after that. I mean, they basically just need to get up and running, and then theoretically, if it's going well, there will be plenty of money to do for the
Okay.
clubhouse
All right.
right away.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the beginning. When do you wanna finish with phase 1?
Phase 1 sometime in like maybe early, or like late spring, early summer 2016. If we can
Oh, okay.
do the design process and get approved and, get all of our state permits during the winter, be ready for construction in the spring. And, there's a little bit to it, but it'll go quickly, so.
Okay, so you can do it when it's cool out.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
your erosion control is a little tougher to handle too, and all that stuff. but-
Yeah,
And you end up bringing in more fill a lot of times when you're doing winter construction, because you can't reuse as much of your on-site fill if it's frozen, chunky, and everything else, so.
all right, any questions?
Yes, the fans.
Yes.
How loud do they get?
How loud do the fans get? I don't know the answer to that, actually.
Something we probably should know.
Indoor or outdoor?
I would imagine the outdoor ones would
The outdoor
affect
ones?
the neighbors.
Yeah, okay,
That is something I'd like to find out. just
okay.
Because there is a whole neighborhood back there.
I know there is, the neighborhood is MB Tractor and Kohl's, and it's all commercial.
You have a trailer park.
There's a trailer park down
Behind
back of
Walmart.
Walmart.
Yeah, that's down this way, right?
I would have to look at a Google map to see exactly.
Down here.
Down past,
It's behind
Yeah.
Walmart,
It's down here.
yeah.
Sherwood Lane.
I can't imagine you'd hear anything in that area at all. But I will check.
Put it on the record, just so we don't do a disservice to the neighbors. Thank you.
yeah, how well does this building absorb noise?
What's that?
How well does this building absorb noise?
There's actually stuff, I believe the inside there's stuff in the business plan about it.
Yes.
That's good.
There's insulation, thermal and acoustical membrane is welded into the outer membrane, and insulation of R12 between the membranes, so I doubt you're gonna hear anything outside of the dome.
Good.
The outer membrane says 20-year warranty, expected lifespan of 30 years of the membrane itself before you'd have to replace it.
Oh, that's good.
I was saying, high efficiency electric motors for the inflation package, motorized dampers, backup system, natural gas powered engine if there's a power outage, so that it's gonna automatically kick over and won't deflate on us.
Well, it's not all that noisy, is it? Really?
No, I don't believe so. I'll find out. I can find out the decibels, or if they have anything on that, or whether it's, it may even be, some of that may actually even be contained within a little hut or building structure on the end of it too. So I can figure that out though. No, I think the first meeting we had with you guys really kind of got us going in the right direction. The stuff with the selectmen, we've been going back and forth quite a bit, and we've had, I think, 3 meetings since the last planning board meeting we had with the selectmen, and really kind of hammered everything out with them. And like I said, we've been to the Conservation Commission, so we really, I think we got a pretty good plan of what we're gonna do now. That shouldn't change too much from now until you guys see it as a full design plan, so.
This is probably a foolish question. What about sprinkler system? How does that work? with-
There are no sprinkler systems in any of the buildings worldwide. It's something we actually did sit down and talk to the fire department, but they're everywhere, and there's no sprinklers in any of them. I think the way it's handled is there's plenty of egress. There's egress points like all over the place to be able to get out.
Now, what's the clubhouse gonna be constructed of? The same thing?
No, the clubhouse is stick construction. But within the dome itself, there's no sprinkler system, there's no way of attaching a sprinkler system in it.
That's why I was like,
Yeah.
how do we
Yeah,
get around that for?
yeah. We have talked to the fire department, we have sent some information to them. We need to go through the rest of that process when we do the official submittal, but there's, like I said, there's a bunch of them in New Hampshire, the same fire code that we're gonna be dealing with here, and they've been accepted, and there's definitely no sprinklers in them, so.
That's very interesting, isn't it?
Actually, knife your way out.
What's that? Cut through with a knife? I doubt it. Maybe a machete.
No, there's a thickness to the wall.
It's
I don't know.
heavy duty stuff. I mean,
It
nobody,
gave me the creeps to be in there, but.
I don't think anybody's gonna be able to come and like stick it with a
I'm
pocket
just
knife and just
imagining
wait
a
it.
fire
No.
and like,
No.
It'd be a lot faster to go
I'm
out.
out of here.
all right.
A door.
A door.
I don't know,
Like I
just,
said, there's
Yeah.
enough egresses that you
Yeah.
never know.
I don't know why.
No, we'll have all those features and the building contractor will be working with us on all the stuff for fire department and the whole work, so.
That wouldn't burn anyway, would it? Melt more than burn?
Then that would be worse, don't
I
we?
know, well, I know, but I'm just saying, you know,
Yeah.
so it'll melt down on a little can instead of burning.
Oh.
Oh, jeez.
I know, I'm one sick person, I'm sorry.
All right.
I think it's time to go home. Okay.
So for you guys, check on the loudness of the motors and work with the fire department when we actually get the submittal put together.
What's the, is there any sidewalk on this side of the street?
Yeah, there is.
Oh.
It actually, the Route 3 sidewalk actually continues down towards, I don't know if it goes right in this spot in front of Agway, but it does go like over
Yeah.
here anyway.
And then, but will there be sidewalk right there?
No,
Okay.
we're gonna, it stops right there.
No, yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have the continuation of this, and we're gonna have it on this side, and then right here we run out of, the only reason I don't have it on this side
Yeah.
here is we're widening it so much. I mean,
Yeah.
we're just about using up all of our right of way to add the second turn lane.
But you're bringing it down far enough.
I'm bringing
So
it
when
down
they
far enough
cross-
that I match up, so like, you'll be
Yeah,
able
and when
to,
they cross, it'll be at the narrower section.
Yep.
Past the turning lane.
yeah, the turn lanes, you have,
Theoretically, behind the traffic.
yeah.
Is there a safe way for someone to walk and get in from here without
If
having
they
to
cross across the Agway parking
Yeah.
lot.
Oh, yeah.
They could diagonal across and get on it right there.
Yeah, that's such a nightmare pulling out of it.
That's what kids do, they cut through parking
Yeah,
lots.
well, this is, I mean, by doing the dual lane, I carried it back far enough that we have stacking for, I think, 4 or 5 vehicles, like, so 4 or 5 people can be sitting there, and if for some reason nobody's making a left turn and 4 or 5 people are lined up, I mean, they can get into the other lane and quick make a right, or the people that are coming up behind them can see like, hey, there's no left turns happening right now, let's just make a right and
Go to Lowe's.
figure
Yeah,
out
there
something
you go.
else, you know.
Well, I can't imagine that much traffic backed up, only when they have the craft fairs and stuff in the
Yeah,
Agway
you know, in the
buildings.
summer with empty tractor, what goes on at the Agway, people are gonna like that extra turning
Well,
lane.
the Agway's now a retail store.
Right.
Yeah.
And, it'd be Agway for
And
everyone.
this actually helps with this, it actually helps MB Tractor in the end too, because they have a wider area to turn into, so it'll help them get off the road a little bit easier too.
You know,
So,
hopefully this will become a big thing. Be good for the town.
I think it will be.
Yeah.
Yep,
I still am not gonna go, because I'm scared to go in the building.
Paul and Bill are definitely hoping it is a big thing, so.
Well, you should be used to like Quonset huts when we were growing up, those Quonset, but they were metal.
Those are metal.
Metal. They wouldn't burn.
No, but they would.
Melt.
There's one in Hooksett that I don't think is ever gonna go anywhere, right off of Route 3.
Fieldhouse?
What's that?
You talking about Fieldhouse?
No, I'm talking about, there's a Quonset hut, like that.
I know where it is.
Quonset huts. It used to be across from the Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, well, you're showing your age.
Oh, the
No,
Quonset hut.
Yeah.
The one where you buy cheap, like,
Yeah,
shelf
exactly,
stuff.
exactly.
Yep.
I miss that Chinese restaurant though.
Yeah.
That Chinese
Isn't
restaurant.
that the Dollar Dragon?
Yeah.
Quonset huts usually have windows at all?
No,
No.
they're a big steel arch
Well,
building.
Even at the ends, though, they're.
On the ends you can,
let
yeah.
more
Yeah.
light in.
Well, I think the thing about it, I mean, we're sitting here looking at drawings and looking at pictures. When you go into something that big, you're not aware of that. You know, I'm only being smart for myself.
Yep.
Well, this one's gonna have skylights for natural light.
Mhm.
Oh, well, then they will be light.
Yeah, I think the skylights that they're talking about, I mean, they're basically, like in the fabric, you end up with a spot where there's like clear fabric, so it ends up being a skylight.
Like, I guess, maybe that's it.
So,
All right, thank you very much.
thank you very much for your
Good
time.
job.
Thanks.
Yes. Done a very good job.
Thank you.
Excited to see that guy.
It's been interesting getting to this point, so I think they're most of the way with their financing and everything else, so hopefully we'll see you guys real soon with a full design plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Work with the school.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Smoothies are good.
Hmm?
I don't know how long it is.
What, smoothies? Oh, yeah, smoothies are very good,
Oh,
and they are very healthy.
Unbelievable.
However, a good juicer will not leave you with much pulp.
yeah.
Judy's in a hurry to go home. All right, we're going to review the June, we're gonna review the minutes for June 23rd. Does everybody have a chance to look at them? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we accept the minutes of the June 23rd planning board meeting as written.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay, moving right along. We have no correspondence.
Right.
Do we have any other business? I'll entertain a motion to,
Adjourn.
Second.
I'll second it.
all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Well, let me
All
think
meetings.
about it.
Definitely have voted.
And I didn't have a single heart attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Turn that off, because
All right.
I can't tell the story.
It's only on Fox.
Story?
It's already on pause?